whatever else you want to do. But you've chosen this instead. So tell me why Bar Tartine?
Beyond beyond what we talked about in the documentary, it's pretty simple. We make everything from scratch at the restaurant, and I guess we didn't really know why until recently. We've been kind of talking about it and debating like what makes us do that, and it's become apparent that we want everything to have a story, so that every aspect of what we do, the bowls, the knives, the plates, the food, everything, we know how it's been processed, how it's been made, and so we can script that story to any one of our guests that come in. So that's been kind of one of the main things.
I would say the other reason, I mean, there's many reasons, but another one is we're curious about how things are made before we're going to serve them, and they're going to have a story, and we're going to ask the other people that work with us to trust all that we're doing, and our guests to trust what we're doing and how we're feeding them. Then we need to know how things are made, and in order to do that, we actually just have to make them. So we continue to be curious about how things are made, and once you know how one thing is made, you're kind of curious about how another thing is made, and it's this ripple effect about why and how and all these things, and it's really never ending. So it starts with just being curious and wanting people to have trust and stand behind you and work with you and create a community and culture, and so many ways we don't really do that.
You said two key words, culture and community. By investigating food in such a progressive and curious way as you are, you're finding out history, you're digging other cultures from all over the world and bringing them together and bringing them to one restaurant, to one neighborhood, so all these people can come in and get a taste of the world. Do your customers, do they come in on a regular basis to taste what you all are up to next?
We have a lot of guests that are local and that come in often, which is wonderful.
We're doing, I mean, people have called fermentation and processing and whatnot that's going on right now is a fad, when in reality, this is human history. The last 50 years have been a fad, a bad one.
I'm sure you all saw that incredibly old chunk of cheese that just sold for lots of money.
No,
yeah, a cheesery, whatever it's called, discovered some cheddar that was an incredible amount of years old. It had sold at auction for an amazing amount of money, and apparently it was just outstanding. And they're going to do like another run of like 20-year cheese or something. So, as Bloodroot Blades, what gets you up at some odd hour of the morning to make a thing that you very well may never see again? And to the beautiful idea of using renewable, like you're taking care of a big problem America has. We just throw stuff out. And you're creating heirlooms. You're creating history. A knife can last for centuries. If this was 12th century Japan, you'd be working for a king. You'd be making samurai blades. You'd be keeping the country strong. But you're able to really create something that a grandson, a great-granddaughter, these will be handed on after these people pass away. These will be cherished and used daily. Why do you do this?
I think probably we begin with a conversation. And you guys talked about conversing with your friends, your customers, and developing relationships with those people. And that conversation formulates basically what's a unity. Like if you move one part of it, the other part moves. So the conversation that I have with a customer, the conversation we have with a customer, affects us, and it affects the product. And so that unity that exists in those conversations can't take place without that conversation. And so one of the things that we've been working on is learning how to talk to people and learning how to figure out what the difference between what people say that they want and sometimes what they want, and speaking into that situation in a way that honors the person and the thing that they're doing. And it's that's a thing that gets me up in the morning, and turning. And the other thing that you talked about that's really interesting that resonates is this idea of like the turning back of chaos, the transitioning of our world into a world that maybe is a little bit more careful shop's right next to our garden. Pollution for us is a very, very real personal liability. We've got to take that step seriously. You know, we can't get sloppy. And we've forced ourselves in that position, and that's what I like about it.
A question to you all the way down there. The modern artisan is a term that is commonly used in the restaurant business these days to describe all kinds of things. Basically, in that you think you're getting something rare and beautiful and made with love. But it's not always the case. For you, Courtney and Nick, what is the definition of the modern artisan as far as the food, you know, as a restaurateur in the great food industry? Again, because you all are affected by climate change, a lack of water, drought. I mean, all that affects what you're getting from your farmers, what you're serving, how it tastes. It all matters, doesn't it?
All of it definitely matters, and you see kind of how it all bounces off each other continually every day. I mean, like you said, the modern artisan is very, I don't know if it's a loose term, but it is definitely a term that's thrown around a lot. I mean, for us, if we attempted to define what it means to be artisans, and ultimately means that we do make things, but it means that it's almost like we're constantly moving forward and backwards and side to side, depending on all of those other things that are going on. We're in a broader conversation with a large but small group of people that we work with every day, that we have relationships with every day. So it's building relationships with our farmers, with the people who make our plates, with everything that we bring into the restaurant that affects the way that we cook. So it really is not just about what we do in the restaurant, it's about kind of how that web forms. So for us, I would say that it's really about forming a web of people that we trust, that we can do what we do with, you know, the utmost, you know, with integrity to the best of our ability.
Again, it's going back to the idea of community. And that trust is huge, and sadly lacking in how we voulez-vous with each other these days. As far as the knives, from what we saw, the man who is just married came in with kind of an idea. He wants something, he wants it to be